I want to talk to you about this. This is the humble telescopic flue kit that OFTEC sells for its gas boilers. I want to talk to you about how it's installed, things you should look out for when you are installing it, but also I want to tell you about a few extra little things that this flue kit has that you may not know about. Let's talk about fall. And what I'm referring to here is the condense being able to fall back into the boiler. So as the exhaust comes next to the cold air intake on the outside, it's going to condense in that pipe. And we don't want to drip out at the end. We want it to come back into the boiler, out to the trap, and then to waste. So to help you with that, we've got this elbow here, and a lot of people think it's 90 degrees, but it's not. I know we call it a 90, but it's actually a 93-degree bend. And it puts a 3-degree fall into the flue. So that's 52 mil per meter. So each 90 that you use is actually 93, and it keeps that fall through the flue system. And it's really important. If the flue was flat, for example, what you might find is you get an accumulation of condense. It doesn't actually go anywhere, and we don't want that. Talking more about that 3-degree fall, it's actually built even more into the flue. This aesthetic seal here, there's an arrow at the top. And when that's at the top, it creates a 3-degree angle. So when it meets the wall, as the flue goes through it at that 3 degrees, it's flush. Same for this weather seal at the end here. There's a little notch on the side of it. And when that's lined up, that weather seal also has a 3-degree fall. And that further creates a seal around this joint where the metal meets the plastic. And it stops, again, rainwater ingress into the flue, as well as stopping rainwater ingress or damage into the sealed cavity around the flue that you've made. I've rolled this weather seal up just so you can see this groove here. On the seal itself, there is also a ridge that sits in that groove. So it's really important that you align the nubbin with the groove on the left or right as you're looking at it, but also get that seal into the groove itself. And that's going to protect it from rainwater getting in around this joint. So for every joint on a flue system, there should be a minimum of 1 screw. We always recommend 2 though, and if you could do it, 3, why not? And what that does is it stops the flue coming apart. It's not there for structural integrity, it's just to stop it coming apart in the event of something going wrong. So in a joint like this push fit joint here, I'd like to see 2 screws. On this one here, this is a telescopic sleeve, again, 2 screws. The only time that I'd really get away with 1 is if I've been installing the flue and I physically cannot do it. So then 1 is acceptable. This is a telescopic terminal. It's made up of 2 bits. We've got the terminal itself, which is this bit, and then we've got this secondary bit, which I would call a sleeve. What slides over the terminal so you can adjust the length. Now, if you wanted to use this with any other flue accessories, you can, provided the sleeve always stays with the terminal. So if I wanted to put a 90, a 45, or an extension on here, I can. But what I can't do is put it in between these 2. This and this always has to stay together. This is an example of just that. I've got the original turret, but I've put a 45 on there to offset the flue, maybe because I need to get it through a flue hole that's already there. When you're using the horizontal terminal, you don't have to use all of it. This end bit here, the sleeve, you don't have to use it. If you've only got a small single brick wall to go through or like a timber building, you don't need to use it. You can just put the terminal straight into the 90 and that's good enough. You can even cut this down to 130 mil, so you don't have to have any white flue showing. Now on Worcester boilers and Worcester flue systems, this white paint and the seals are UV stable and weather resistant, so that white flue can be outside. But you know, we want to avoid that entirely. Really, this white flue should be up with the seal. Looking on the top of this horizontal flue, there is a big sticker saying top. That's important. And the reason why is that there is a weir installed on this black section. And what it does, it stops rainwater running back down the air intake of this flue. If that's installed in the wrong position, naturally, that's not going to be effective. So we want to make sure that where it says top, it's at the top. When it comes to sealing the cavity around the flue, I'd absolutely recommend pointing it. At the very least, you could use expanding foam if it's weather resistant, but there's also other things out there. Something like this is the flue snug from Pipe Snug, and this is an acceptable solution as well. And what this does, it would replace this weather seal here with the flue snug, but it'd also seal the cavity completely at the same time. If you do use the flue snug, it's important that you get the seal in that groove exactly the same place where this weather seal would sit, so it stops rainwater getting into the joint between the plastic and the metal. Let's talk about this a little bit for a second. This is the exhaust, this is the termination for it. And what it's got on the end is a built-in plume diverter. So where that's going to be useful is if that plume is going to cause a nuisance and you want to redirect it away. Or if you've got not enough clearance, like a boundary or an opposing wall. So normally we would have 600 mil in front of this exhaust. But if I alter the direction of the plume using this diverter, and it just clips off and is spun around, I can now measure that 600 mil in the direction of plume flow, which means I can have a much shorter clearance in front of it. Great for those tight spaces. What you also have to remember as well, that when you direct the plume like this, any openings in the direction of that plume now have to be 1500 mil away, not just 300.